right, geometry students, here's the second lecture video, which is going to be on triangle congruency proofs. So the first lecture video and the additional YouTube video that I posted along with it is for you to solidify your knowledge on the 5 triangle congruency theorems: side, 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 angle, angle, side, angle, and hypotenuse leg. So understanding those aspects, those key features, will allow you to now do triangle congruency proofs where you're proving that triangles are congruent or something similar to it. So what I'm going to do in this video, it hopefully will be clear, it'll be concise, but this will be a shorter one because the majority of what I want you to get from this is notes, a couple of examples of kind of some proofs you might be asked to solve and write out, and then of course, spending the majority of class time to practice this. So we'll just dive right in. So again, the 5 key triangle congruence theorems are, let me get the pen out, is side, 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 angle, side, angle, and hypotenuse leg. Those are the 5. That helps you prove that 2 triangles are congruent. So in the 2 example proofs I'm going to be showing you, there are going to be some things that will be pretty consistent and recurring for any of these proofs that you need to keep in the back of your mind, as well as see kind of how things such as vertical angles, the reflexive property, those things are still going to show up. Okay, so looking at this example, it gives us 2 pieces of information. It asks us to prove that triangle ABC is congruent to DBC. So we're looking at this example here. So given that AB is congruent to DB, they already showed that by doing 2 tick marks. Okay, so that reason is given. Okay, every proof begins with the given statement. Telling you C is the midpoint of AD is also a given. So knowing C is the midpoint of AD tells us that AC and DC are congruent to each other. Okay, so the fact that AC is congruent to DC, this is a new thing you will need to write down, is that this is the definition of a midpoint. Okay, so whenever they tell you that C or anything is the midpoint of something, you can automatically write that those 2 segments are congruent because of the definition of midpoint. Okay, now one of the properties that I very briefly mentioned that would be that would be important later on. Okay, one of them was vertical angles. This one is also important. It's called the reflexive property. Okay, and it shows up here in this step. BC congruent to BC. This is the reflexive property. Okay, this is the reflexive property. Okay, and this is important because it tells us that this segment, BC, is congruent to itself, which is always true. Anytime you have 2 triangles sharing the same side, you are using the reflexive property, and that is how you prove that that side is congruent to each other, is by using the reflexive property. Okay, so in this proof, based on the information we have now gathered, we have 3 things. We have side congruent to side in terms of AB congruent to DB. We have side congruent to side as in AC congruent to DC. And then we have side congruent to side as in BC congruent to BC. So we can prove that these 2 triangles are congruent because of the side, side, side theorem. Okay? Because we were able to prove that one triangle has 3 congruent sides to another triangle with 3 congruent sides, and they match up, we have now proven that the triangles are congruent. This is the goal. Get 3 pieces of information, and then utilizing and figuring out how to get those 3 pieces of information will tell you which of the 5 theorems you are using. Okay, and those theorems are, again, side, 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 angle, side, angle, and hypotenuse leg. So that is the goal. There are only 5 theorems that you can use to prove that triangles are congruent. Your goal is to figure out the missing pieces, how to get them, how to obtain them, and then make a valid conclusion on how you can prove that the two triangles are indeed congruent. So in this example, we were able to prove it by side, side, side. You can pause the video here, write down your questions, finish these notes out, finish this proof out. I'm going to go ahead and move to the second one because the second one is actually quite different, okay? Because there is going to be a variety in terms of problems being asked for these types of questions. So let me stop using my pen and let me scroll down. Okay, and now I will erase these. So again, you can go back and pause the video. But now we're going to be doing example number 5. All right, so for number 5, we are given angle L is congruent to, or angle N is congruent to angle L. And again, they give you a picture here. Okay, so they will always give you a diagram that you can look at. And they give you that JK is congruent to MK. And they want you to prove that the two triangles are congruent. Okay, so we're going to do our 2-column proof. So the statement 1 is going to be the given. So angle N congruent to angle L. That is given. And I apologize, that angle and the L looks very similar. So I'll try to rewrite that a little better. Angle L. And then we'll just go ahead and use it as a second, as the second statement because I don't have much room. JK is congruent to MK. And that is also given. All right, so from here, okay, we know this piece of information here, that was given. We know this piece of information here, that was given. Okay, now here is where another thing that I mentioned, okay, because I mentioned 2 things here, for this unit especially. Reflexive property is one that's going to come back, which will be very helpful. The second one is from the last unit, and that is vertical angles. So when you have 2 non-adjacent angles that are congruent to each other, you have vertical angles. And where is that evident? It is actually evident in this problem because this angle here, JKN, so this angle right here, JKN, that angle is congruent to MKL. Okay, so J to K to N, that angle is congruent to M to K to L. And again, order is important, as I stressed before, because JK is congruent to MK. So I have to note that when I'm creating this angle congruency statement of JKN is congruent to MKL. So that is the third statement that I'm going to make here, is that angle JKN is congruent to angle MKL, and that is because of vertical angles. Okay, so now if I look at how these triangles are set up, angle N to angle K to side JK, that is angle, angle, side. Same thing if I go from angle L to angle K to side KM, it's angle, angle, side. So the fourth statement, which I know is going to cover this part here, but the proof statement to triangle JKN is congruent to triangle MKL. It is congruent because of angle, angle, side. You go in order, you go angle first to the next angle, then to the side. So that's angle, angle, side. Okay, so again, copy this down, write down your questions. I just want to do 2 examples of potential proofs that you might be doing related to these triangle congruency theorems. I will be attaching another YouTube resource video that goes over a couple more examples and actually shows some other possibilities of proofs that you might be doing later. But I wanted to at least go through these 2 so you have them in your notes. And then hopefully when we get to class, I can address all questions and concerns in class and do a lot more proofs so you have even more proofs in your notebook so you can get accustomed to how these work. Okay? The goal is for you to be able to just practice these over and over and over again so so you get accustomed to it. Again, goal is to figure out which of the 5 proofs you're going congruence theorems you're going to use, and then once you have those um have those uh either sides or angles gathered, then you can see which theorem you're going to use. So again, please copy these notes down, these 2 examples, and again, come to class with questions, and I will have more examples for you when you get to class next time. All right, so good luck, and I will see you all next time.